Okay. So you can see exactly what I'm talking about. This shit is crazy and you can't make it up. So, the first video that I saw, this is the second time I've posted on this same lady. Her stuff keeps just floating up on my TikTok, but I'm just over it. Like, I don't want to hear it. I don't really care. Is about Jamaicans being told by their oppressor that they should stay away from black people and stuff like that. And I've heard this from Africa. I've heard these from videos from around the planet and stuff like that. Like there's this sentiment out there in the universe because I guess the whole damn planet is been colonized at some point and people's then lost their marbles and don't know how to open up a history book or aren't being taught history or they don't have any confidence in themselves. And I guess for me, like, doing research on, from the 60s, 70s, 80s, or whatever, I was just being born in the late 60s. So, this stuff wasn't really taught to me. And I'm not an immigrant. So, it's all news to me. I never even knew any of these things existed until now, within the last, month or so, all these posts are coming up. But I think for me, because, Jamaicans and stuff, they always talk about they pride themselves on hard work and things like that. And I don't doubt that that's not true, but so do Black American people do too. And as a Black American, I can only speak for my family. I come from a family of seven. Like, come on. My parents worked very hard. I had mother and father at home who worked, many jobs, tirelessly, to provide for all seven of their children. And I don't see what's lazy about that. I don't get the specifics of how Black American people are lazy when, history shows we created and pretty much built the wealth for all of the people who are the damn oppressors. And now that these immigrants are coming in, which we welcome them, they're our relatives, our cousins, or whatever, don't want to claim us, apparently, come in and build their wealth on in our neighborhoods. You got taxi services, you got your donut shops, you got your nail shops. They set up, they get the loans, they get everything from the oppressors, apparently. Their skin tones are as dark as mine, but somehow they see themselves not black, but it's almost like they have a dual identity thing going where they see themselves better than, greater than, and all that, even though they're the ones leaving their home turf to come here. And we know why they come here. They come here for capitalism. And that's fine. We want you to come here. Hello. But what we don't want is you putting your anti Afro American, you know, stereotypes on us because we know that that shit is not true. And so, with the lady in the video, she's talking about this story that, she's heard. And to me, I was just like, what? Are you freaking serious right now? I mean, granted, it's a case study or whatever. That's fine, but why you need to post that online? Take your case study and go sit down somewhere, lady. Like we ain't trying to listen to that negative shit. And then it's not a specific thing. Like there's no specifics to it. There's no names. There's no dates. There's no just some random historical reference, but no details. So it's like, why am I gonna sit there and listen to that? I don't. And I'm just surprised. I'm thinking that you've come here, you're receiving a grade A education, and your study is on anti-Black American sentiments and what the Jamaicans were taught by their oppressors, and why Jamaicans have such an opinion about other races of people. And nobody has said anything about your country and about all the oppressed things that are going on in Jamaica to this day. And we go back a couple of years ago when they had a prime minister. It was a woman. I want to say her name was Porsha. Let me see, I wrote it down. Porsha Lucretia Simpson Miller. And La Porsha was like doing her thing, traveling around and everything, hobnobbing with the best of the oppressors. Meanwhile, I was seeing documentary after documentary on the Gully Kids, which are your LGBTQ kids who have been thrown out of their homes, mostly black and brown kids in Jamaica. These are Jamaican born kids. You can't make this shit up. And in these videos, I would see all of these kids, living down in like this canal, like a little lagoon or whatever. There's these, I don't know, where the water runs through in between the streets and things. We don't have anything like that here that I know of. But they used to live in that. And whenever they would go out on the streets, because they'd have to kind of, thrive and survive out there on the streets, doing a street thing, and that's prostitution and all kinds of sort of thing, drugs and everything else, just to get by. They would dress up. A lot of them were, trans girls and non-binary kids and gay and all everything. But very young. Some of them look like they could be as young as, 10, 11, 12, maybe even younger than that. But all of them had the same commonality authority. They were thrown out of their homes for being gay because their oppressors have oppressed their culture is Christian. And so whenever these kids would encounter the straight people or the people in the towns, they would a lot of times be attacked, raped, all kinds of situations, cut, shot, you name it, because it's a city, And I'm just trying to remember, they couldn't go to the hospitals for treatment. So if you got shot or killed, they wouldn't admit you in if they knew you were gay. And I didn't understand why Porsha, because she was saying that she was so LGBT inclusive, she was going around all these different places. This was a time when we were still trying to get gay marriage, I believe, on the books here in the States. And I think it had already happened, because I want to say that was back in 2017, 2018, somewhere around that time. But she was still doing her thing, because I remember specifically seeing the documentary and just like, who the hell is the president? And then I was like, Porsha, and I never knew that there was a woman president, that was black and Jamaican. So you mean to tell me you're over here from your home turf, you done immigrated to America, and you want to put your thumb on American people, and look how you do your damn children over there? Like, girl, bye. So we can even start with that, and is work our way down to just the treatment of just black gay kids. And it's hard for black gay kids here in the States as well, but I ain't gonna compare apples to oranges because they're black. So at the end of the day, you're not a perfect society, is what I'm trying to say to you. And the idea that you are somehow trying to explain away people's prejudices about a subgroup that's here, who have been here for, all of the mess, is strange. I still find it very strange. Like, you come from oppression as well, because your country was colonized by the queen, the one that just died, the figurehead, and y'all just recently separated yourself from her. And so I'm sure it's still fresh that you still got that colonized mind, even though you separated yourself. You still adore being oppressed. And that's all that it is. It's like you like it. You love someone telling you that, black is ugly, brown is ugly. It makes you feel good to step on somebody else, because you come from that. You were from that mindset. That's why nobody's been trying to go to your country, girl, for vacation. Ain't nobody go over there for that mess. Kids getting stabbed and killed and beaten, and you can't walk down the street and just be yourself because of your religion. And what kind of religion tells you to kill somebody? So make all that work out your own shit before you try to hop the fence over here and then try to stick your claws into black African American people. So we got our own problems, and it don't really include you, but we do acknowledge you as a distant relative, and a problematic one at that. And we knew when you came over here from your country with all of your oppressed ideals and mentality, because you didn't leave that, you didn't unpack all that shit and leave it. Before you came, you packed up and you brought your mentality with you. You brought your ways of knowing, your culture, your food, your identity, and all of that bullshit came right with you. And the reason why you can sit here and talk shit about Black American people is the fact that you come from a fucking oppressed country. You were enslaved just like we were. But the only difference is y'all's enslavement was tough, but it wasn't as tough as chattel slavery. And we survived it. So your commentary and all the shit that you're saying right now, it don't mean squat to no Black American person because we don't really care like that. And why it's annoying to me because you keep bringing it up and it keeps popping up on my feed and I can't block your ass. But since I can't block you, I just want to try to understand. But you can't understand. What I'm starting to understand is that it's just a colonized mind. That you hate your own self so much that you got to project all of that hate onto the people who are patronizing your business, the people who are educating your kids, the people that you go to the bank and patronize at the bank. You know, you've had a president that was Black. You got a vice president right now that's Black over here. You had one in your own country, Porsha, who wasn't doing shit for y'all, except for spending and living a life and doing it well. Meanwhile, when she's making promises to help the LGBT kids, those Black LGBT kids that are out there in your gullies, the gully children, and she didn't do shit for them. And they're still going through hell right now with the new guy. What's his name? Andrew? What is Andrew gonna do? Wholeness. This is the name. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Let's marinate while we're trying to compare apples to oranges. Oppression is oppression, and enslavement is enslavement. You ain't gonna never escape all those things. It's history. And when you try to come over here and put your fingers and toes on somebody else, look back over there at over the fence at your own Jamaica that y'all so proud about, because you're making your country look stupid right now. Moving on. So this actress named Gina Torres, she is born April 25th, 1969. She's a year older than me. My birthday is in 68 in April 24th. Can you believe that? So me and her like a year apart. Now she's been, sitting in mixed company of Hispanic people from Cuba because she's Cuban American. She's born in New York City, married to Lawrence Fishburne, and the Matrix and all of that. I mean, this is a well-known person who is all of a sudden saying that she can't identify with Black people. She didn't give birth to a Black child because she's married to a Black ass man. But somehow her colonized mind is telling her that she's lost touch with her Cuban roots, which is it's not Black, it's Hispanic. It's not Black, it's something else. I don't know exactly how to explain it, but let her, you saw it for yourself. I showed it to you what she said. And so we're trying to dissect all of these things that people are coming up with. You collect your coin, and you've made your coin in America portraying a Black person, an African American person. In your roles, you were playing Black. So were you fishing, and you're just in your mind like, oh God, I hate playing these stupid ass roles because I can't go to Telemundo or what's the other one? Telemundo, and I can't think right now, but you know what I mean. The other major network in Spanish land. You couldn't go nowhere else and portray your actual, non-Black self within a Black shell body in your own language and in your culture, and you just lost yourself. And everybody's sitting around the table just kumbayaing, yes, I understand it, I get it. And it's like, no, you don't. Because there's plenty of Hispanic, Latinx, take your pick of all of them different titles that y'all got now. Indigenous, Tahino. I mean, you can't make all this shit up. And it's starting to become laughable because only you can stop yourself from knowing your ways of knowing who you are and where you come from. And if you were so wrapped up in Hollywood, white Hollywood, because it is a white machine and that ain't changing, that was your own doing. And the fact that you can fix your freaking lips to say some shit like that, it's just mind boggling. I'm just like, how? I mean, how can you say that? Like, are you listening to yourself, lady? How can you forget your ways of knowing of your own home country, which is Cuba, which is very, very much one of those enslaved places that the slave ships drove through and dropped off those dark-skinned Africans. They say that you can't identify with your African culture because it's in there. It may not be 100%. You're just speaking another language. And I want to say to all of you Hispanic people who are running around here talking about y'all anti-black and y'all hate black people and dark-skinned people and the moreno. Moreno es muy oscuro, or, you know, la piel es más oscuro. Please stop. Just stop. Like, y'all need to stop already, because in Africa alone, when you're in Africa, baby, and I would say, like, start with West Africa by itself. You go to Nigeria, and in one little area of Nigeria alone, it's so many damn different languages. Like, you act like speaking Spanish is some phenomenon that it's not. Like, it's like something that's just, you know, something. But all of these damn languages are intermixed some kind of way. A lot of languages are intermixed. And so you're acting like Africa is like this little bitty tiny dot, and it's a huge ass place with over 1,000 plus languages, where one tribe can't even understand the next tribe up the damn road from each other. Them two can't even talk to each other because they don't understand each other. Languages ain't shit in Africa. We were the ones, those enslaved ones, who endured chattel slavery, who lost our ancestral language and our ancestral culture and our tongues and stuff, and was erased from us because we weren't allowed to have an education. And they bred this English language into us in order to keep us oppressed. Just like they did in Jamaica, just like they're doing in the islands, just like they're done in all these other. Dominican Republic looked like it was the hardest hit when it came to cultural identity, because those people are darker than me in some sense, and they're saying that they're white. And that is a crying ass shame, that they're denying their own African DNA that's in their bodies. The melanin don't lie. The melanin don't lie. Will you guys stop? Hold on, I'm going to have to pause it for a minute because the dogs are out of control. Hold on.